Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet the great Roxanne Carne. She is a personal wardrobe stylist, image consultant, my friend, and she's going to teach us all how to become a new you in 2026. Next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
So, Roxanne Carne is in the studio. She is a personal wardrobe stylist. She's an image consultant, and I think we all get a calling. Some of us get a calling later in life. I think you got a calling when you were in kindergarten. Tell us back to kindergarten.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. So I was in the mecca of fashion, and my mom actually worked in the city in Manhattan. She worked on Fifth Avenue. So I just naturally had so much inspiration from that. And just I remember, Jeff, just watching specifically women just walking across the road in front of me. And it was almost like they were floating. And I was just seeing this, I would say, inner confidence without even knowing what confidence was.
Yes.
And that was something that I knew I wanted. Again, even though I didn't know what it was, I wanted a piece of that. I wanted to experience that. And that's when the little model in me came out, when I got to play with clothes.
No, I think it's beautiful. And you started your professional career when?
When styling 13 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to pull up her website, and as we scroll on the website, some people say, well, I have no style. Well, I mean, whatever you wear, whatever you choose in the morning, you're choosing a style.
That's absolutely right. But the key, Jeff, is that it's almost like a recipe. You have to have the right ingredients to help put together the look that you want to really represent as your signature style. So it is definitely a specific choice, but you need to have the key pieces to make it come together.
So tell us, when you work with a client for the first time, because I can imagine there are people watching this right now, and I'm not ready for a radical change.
I hear it all, yes.
You're going to take me from Marsha Brady to Clueless.
Yeah. The remote control closet, like everyone, I actually have clients that actually tell me that that's what they want.
So tell me about your style when you work with a client for the first time. How do you do that?
You know, it's such an interesting process. And this is why I love what I do, because I approach style from both a technical standpoint as well as an aesthetic standpoint. But I pull that together, but I also align it with that woman, who she is and where she wants to be. And the beauty about my methodology, so to speak, is that every woman, every canvas is so different. We're looking at their body type, their shape. We're looking at colors. I do color analysis. That's huge. And I'm also assessing what they own and putting that really into context of, are these pieces supporting where you want to be? And if the answer is no, we're going to understand why the answer is no. But while we're doing that, we're also kind of putting a red velvet rope on the wardrobe, meaning that once we establish that foundation for you, it's going to be easy to say no to mistakes, and you won't buy mistakes anymore. That's really where we start.
And Roxanne, we were talking before the show about style psychology, because something you said I think is very profound, that women and men have things in their closet that they haven't worn in 20 years. They can't bring themselves to throw it away, and there's a reason. So talk about style psychology?
Yeah, clothing, it's personal, unless you live in a nudist colony, the one thing that we all have in common every single day is putting something on. And a lot of times when we are purchasing clothes, we're purchasing them for our lifestyle. We're purchasing them a lot of times for specific events. And they tend to hold a lot of memories. And that's natural and that's totally okay. But there are going to be some pieces that maybe they served you at that one particular point in time when you needed it, but now you've kind of outgrown it. Bridging that gap to understand the why is really helpful to being able to objectively say no and pull those pieces out and really make room in your wardrobe for pieces that are going to be the yes for you today and moving forward.
Roxanne is all over the TV and radio. We found a great clip from a couple months ago on NBC5. Let's go ahead and roll that.
Getting dressed every day shouldn't stress you out. It's time to define your personal style so that every time you get dressed, you feel amazing. Personal stylist Roxanne Carne joins us to share some steps to styling a wardrobe that you'll actually love. Welcome to Texas Today.
Thank you. So glad to be here today.
Now, you have a heart for transforming the wardrobes of many women. How did you know this was your calling?
Oh boy, so it came about in a very unconventional way.
Okay.
Prior to starting my business 12 years ago in styling, I was actually in corporate HR for the better part of 15 years, and my concentration was talent acquisition or recruiting. So I was helping people get into their next best career step. And through that naturally came helping them prepare for their interviews. And part of that was how they presented in terms of image.
And I feel like this is so important because when you look good, you feel good too,
Yeah.
right? Now,
Yeah.
you have 6 steps to help us through this when it comes to styling a wardrobe. Where do we start?
Yeah. So where we want to start is defining your style.
Finding your
Okay.
style. Okay.
So what that means is we've got to understand what is working for you, what resonates from you from an aesthetic standpoint, right? So an easy way to do that is just kind of scan the world, right? When you're out and
what's
about,
happening. Okay.
yeah, see what inspires you. Oh my gosh, I love this outfit on this person. How does she do it? Or thinking about your favorite celebrities and how they dress, or maybe putting together a vision board on Pinterest, right?
Ooh.
So you're getting that inspiration to again define what works for you aesthetically.
Roxanne, you absolutely come alive in front of a camera. Have you
you.
have you always been outgoing? I mean, is a shy child or?
Jeff, it's so funny because I completely evolved. As a little girl, I was the shyest person. I would be hiding behind my mom's skirt. I remember when we were in elevators, I would be in the corner. I didn't want to interact with people. I was such a bookworm. All I wanted to do was just read. And I think I would say probably in middle school to high school was when my personality came out and I just became comfortable with who I was. And I never looked back. So, but yeah, I was definitely the very, very quiet girl in the corner.
Or do you feel any pressure when you are a nationally known image consultant? You can't really have a bad day. So, like, can you throw on sweats and just go to Tom Thumb?
Yes, I can, but they're going to be stylish ones, and I'm going to have great shoes and maybe a great baseball cap on top, right? For me, clothing is just such a source of joy and fun. And I always tell everyone that I work with or I'm talking to that you don't have to be dressed to the nines every single time you go out, but I want you to look like you put some level of effort. Wear pieces that are pulled together, because you can be, again, wearing your sweats and your sneakers and be completely comfortable, but still look amazing. But it's got to be kind of authentic to you and your lifestyle at the same time. But yeah, I mean, I was in sweats yesterday.
All right, let's talk about style and confidence because they go hand in hand.
Very much so.
So the person who looks in the mirror and they see an imperfection and they're in kind of negative self-talk, a new wardrobe can really cause them to become a peacock.
That's so true. And those are the moments, honestly, that I live for because that's what happens when I have fittings with my clients. So, with me working with a lot of women, I will tell you, honestly, this is kind of tying back to the psychology. A lot of women have hang-ups in their head that could be real, that could be imagined, but it may stem from a comment that their mother made to them when they were 12 or something that happened in high school. And honestly, they hang up, they hang on to that. And we have these conversations and I take that to heart because it's very real. And, it tends to just kind of put you in a box. But when I apply my signature styling process and are getting the clothes that are absolutely amazing, when we have that fitting appointment, that peacock starts to emerge. I'm telling you, like seeing my clients in the mirror that I have, they are standing taller. That psychology has flipped. They're just like, oh my gosh, first of all, I never would have picked that up off the rack to purchase for myself, but I absolutely love it. I never thought I could wear something like this. That is the moment that I live for. And once I help clients change that fundamental relationship with their wardrobe, there's no looking back. You can't unwind the clock. They don't look at clothing the same way again. But what I see that comes from that is just that inner confidence that helps them in their love lives, in their professional lives, if they want to start a business or be on camera. Those ingredients are there. It now allows them to really be who they are and share who they are with the world.
Share one of your favorite success stories with us.
Yeah. So, gosh, Jeff, there's so many. But I'll share a success story about a client who, and I remember when we had our style intensive, which is a consultation before we actually start working together, when we were exploring the impact that her image, what she perceived her image to be, the impact that was having on her life, I will never forget this quote. She told me that she said, I just hide. She says, I will be at home and I will actually close the blinds because I don't want anybody to see me. And in all my years of styling, that is probably one of the hardest truths that I've had a client share with me. And I remember it kind of stopped me in my tracks. And then she, it was very emotional. So she did proceed to cry. And she's like, Roxanne, I never actually told anybody that before. So we worked through it. We went through the process of working together, and I had the benefit of curating a new wardrobe for her. And again, the delight that she had on her face when we were in our fitting was unimaginable. She looked amazing. She felt amazing. And what I always tell my clients, I said, look, when we're wearing clothes, we're not wearing them for other people, even though women tend to wear clothing for other people. That's another level. But truly, we're wearing it for ourselves. And so I said, what's going to happen is that you're going to start getting compliments. And you're going to get compliments on how amazing you look, but you're going to be getting compliments on you. So a few weeks later, she sent me a selfie. Clients do this all the time, but she sent me a selfie and she was in a parking lot and someone stopped her in the parking lot. They were in the store together and I guess had walked out around the same time. And that person went up to her and said, I just have to tell you, your outfit is amazing. You look amazing. I don't know who you are or what you do. And she stopped in her tracks. So she took that moment to actually take the selfie and tell me, Roxanne, this is what happened. You told me this was going to happen and it happened. So that's a real success story.
Well, Roxanne, it seems so much of your job is therapist. You're helping people unpack, baggage.
Well, okay, so I don't know if you saw me say that or if you're just psychic, but that's one of my monikers is the style therapist, because I feel, again, you've got to understand where style takes you when it's not its best, and how, again, deeply it impacts you. What ultimately ends up happening is that it changes your behavior and how you carry yourself, but also how you interact with others. And a lot of people, this is a cycle that you're experiencing, but you never really call it out. You don't talk about it. You kind of deal with it and brush it under the rug. But once you realize and say, oh my gosh, I did change my behavior. I did say, no, I'm not going to go to that event just because I didn't have the right outfit. I have that conversation a lot. But what really is happening is that once you grab a hold of it and you call it out and realize it for what it is, that's when you can conquer it. That is when you can say, you know what, I'm tired of feeling this way every day. I need something that's going to make me feel better and have, again, people see who the real me is. So yeah, there's a lot of style therapy.
Beautiful. We have about 2 minutes left, and this is the beginning of a new year, so this is a chance for rebirth. Look into the camera on the left and talk to the viewer who knows they need a change.
Yeah, you know, I will say to you that this is not insurmountable. It is something that we can all wrap our heads around, but you've got to understand what works for you. And it's not rocket science, but it's not something that we're explicitly taught. And that is what I do, is help you unlock what that blueprint means to you. And then we take logical steps to build that wardrobe that will completely serve you. So I'm really blessed to be able to be in that position to help so many women and men realize that for themselves.
Outstanding. You've been an amazing guest. We're going to have you back on again soon. We're going to end with her website, which is RoxanneCarne.com, the great Roxanne Carne. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.